Well, welcome back.
Right.
Yeah, welcome back to the to the people.
He's back and better than ever, okay?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely going live on TikTok from now on. It's over with.
Over with.
I be scared. Like, what do I go to live and do?
Anything. Just talk.
Earlier, you asked me about skits, and I was like,
Yeah.
like I don't
I'm trying-
podcast
listen,
5 days a
told you,
week.
I'm going for a meal this year.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, okay, go
You
on.
got it. You can do it.
100%.
That's awesome.
I'm taking whoever want to go with me.
I don't have a TikTok,
We
so I
can,
guess I
we
gotta
can
get
work
one.
something out. I got a whole
wanna
solid
go.
6,000.
We can collab.
You got 6. Okay, so y'all just gotta put me like at the end. Y'all just tag me along with y'all.
Oh,
'cause
right.
How many do you have, Ariel?
I have 6,000, like 400 and something.
Yeah.
And then you're in the hundreds of right.
Yeah.
I got like
100K.
2,000.
Must be nice.
So help me.
How many?
105K.
Yeah,
You
and
just made me look like a.
Well, that's why I wasn't going to say nothing. So I'm just like,
my little 150
we're
followers.
finna get him to 1,000.
Me too.
Yeah,
Next
yeah,
week
yeah.
here, we gonna get that.
Struggle bus.
No, I got him. I was struggling. I could have got him to 1,000, but I was just doing too much. But
Yeah.
I'm focused now, so
New year, new him.
next week
Welcome
you'll
I'll
be
be
at 1,000.
taking lessons. I'm gonna like bring my notebook next.
It's actually really good. Like especially like depends on like what your niche is. Once
Yeah.
you find your niche, it's over with.
You're not worried about the shutdown?
No.
It's not a shutdown.
not.
It's a. You can't download it to any new device.
So if you got it, you got it. You're good to go. Just don't
Yeah.
delete it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave my daughter another phone. 'Cause you're not
Said,
touching
don't
this
worry
thing.
about this.
Yeah.
Don't even touch
Maybe
it.
I need to get a phone just for TikTok now. Is what I'm thinking.
Listen,
They're shutting it down. I mean, I'm just so I don't watch the news. I have no fucking clue what you're doing.
well, if you don't have TikTok, download it now.
Yeah, and then you can resell your phone for like 100,000 later. You know.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably
Because people are
because
gonna
nobody.
want it. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think not just saying it just because he's getting in office. I think they're gonna keep it because that's what helped him get in office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that.
Elon.
He did say that.
So, I mean, that's what helped a lot of.
It's a tech administration.
Yeah, 100%.
So the fuck
TikTok is
Also free. You know.
Yeah.
yeah.
A free entertainment device, you know, that doesn't charge you up the ying like YouTube and other stuff. You know what I mean?
Charge you if you go live. I'll tell you that much. You give gifts and you go live and you do the live battles. They definitely charge you.
Yeah, they got to get their money.
Yeah, they
They
get
don't-
their
they don't
money.
get
I'm
paid.
trying to tell you, they get it.
We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the first. Is it inaugural? Is this an
Yeah.
Can I use that word?
Inauguration.
Yeah, that's a big word. I'm not using it. A word way too big for me. Welcome to the first episode of the Love Panel. I am your host, Swell, behind the camera, but got a beautiful cast here. Some still filing through. We're going to get started, and we're going to introduce ourselves. Now, okay, so, like, do we, like, introduce our relationship status too, or is that too intuitive?
No, we ain't not doing all that.
We ain't doing all that. All right,
just
cool.
introduce ourselves.
Just your name, where you're from.
Doing my DJ name.
Yeah. Your stage
All
name.
right, so my stage name is DJ The Problem, but it's changed. I'm not telling anybody yet, but it's
You told the
actually
whole
changed.
world right now.
No. But I'm from California, but I moved here. So
Where in
Nice.
Cali?
Solid.
Oceanside.
Okay.
I went from Oceanside to Springfield, Illinois to here.
You can say you from Cali. You say Oceanside.
Yeah,
That's a Cali.
It's
Is
definitely a
that
Cali
like
thing.
is that towards top or bottom side?
It's San Francisco.
Oh, Okay, San Fran. Okay,
Yeah.
solid. I'm Ariel, and I forget what we were supposed to say already.
Where you from?
Okay. Well, I'm from Hawaii, but I went to college in Oregon, and now I live here. And go many hunes.
Where's here?
Indiana.
You're like, I don't know where here is.
You want my address? Just kidding. I mean, no.
Yeah. Well, I'm Melissa, and I'm not from Indiana, but I will claim it right now as my home state. You know, so I'm originally from New York.
Oh, wow.
And I'm here in Northwest Indiana.
Coast to coast, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Ayor, and I'm from Chicago, so I'm not too far from the street, from up the street.
Hey, there you
Nice.
go.
Perfect. All right. And So if you guys don't mind, how many of us here are in our 30s? Okay. More than 30s? Cool. Oh, you're still in your 20s, AR?
Under 30.
Aww.
Yes.
Only reason why I ask is because this is a show of perspective.
Yeah.
You know, with experience and with the different things that you learn in life, it gives you a very different perspective. We could all be looking at the same picture and see totally different things. You know, so that's what I really like about, you know, relationships and not just relationships, a man-woman relationship or woman-woman relationship, man-man relationship, however that works, but just like meeting people, having friendships, you know, developing or how to develop people, different things like that. Just I'm all about just building people. And this is a really cool way to explore that world. I'll start in the opposite. Ayor, have you ever been in love?
Yes.
Okay. Are you in love right now?
Yes.
Okay. What does love mean to you? Like when you think of the word love, what is it? What does that mean?
It's kind of like that person that, or love means like, if I had to put one word to it, it'd be like unconditional. Like no matter what happened, it's always gonna revert back to that.
I just touched.
That's how I look at it.
For you, is it a verb or is it like a place or a thing?
It's one of them, it's how you use it. You know, it depends on how, right? Because if I say that,
I'm asking like, what is a verb? Like,
right?
Like,
Can we start there?
you know, yeah.
Do you think of like actions or do you think of actually this is pretty good. Does everyone here understand like how love languages work?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's probably the best way to ask it.
Okay.
There's two different ways to look at love language: how you receive love and how you give it. How do you receive it?
A verb. I need the action behind it, and like, yeah.
Is that also how you give it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a person like what's the love language is called?
Like
Gifts
physical
of
touch?
gifts, actions of gifts, or like
Yeah, there's like
yeah.
physical touch.
Yeah.
You know.
It's words of affirmation, physical
Yeah.
touch, and then there's like gifts
Gifts.
and
Gift giving, and
yeah.
then there's
Are we missing one?
there's supposed to be 5.
It's supposed to be 5 of them.
Yeah. So words of affirmation, and then I
Hey,
forgot
don't
the ones I
look at
said.
me. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well, I feel like I'm active service.
Oh,
I'm
active
more like an
service.
active
Okay.
service
That's what
Okay.
it is.
lover. Like, yeah, if you love me, show me. Do this, do that, and make sure this is. As long as you make sure my mental is good, we good.
How do you see it, Melissa?
Love.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so multifaceted, right? Like, just with different relationships and different levels of intimacy. So again, like the relationship with my children versus a relationship with my partner versus a relationship with my best friends. You know, I tell all my best friends I love them when we get off the phone. It's like, I don't think we as a society say that we love each other enough. And we need to hear that more often. I think, again, love is absolutely unconditional. And I also think that love is like about a sense of like belonging and feeling safe and creating a container that we can grow and evolve and be our authentic selves in, you know, in so many different ways. And I think about, again, like, you know, I like to say, like, I grew up fucked up, you know, in a fucked up family. And so I've created my own family, and my friends, they've grown up in fucked up situations too. Right. And it's about, again, like us coming together and,
Being that support system.
absolutely, you know, and I'm very excited to like get to know all of you guys, because I'm sure I'm gonna like by the end of it be like, I love you guys, you know, because that's truly too like what it's about is like finding connection and meaning in people and truly seeing people,
Definitely.
truly seeing the authentic selves.
You're
of
saying
each other.
love is what you make it.
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you show love? What is your preferred way?
I think many different ways, right? Like
or let's
being
say,
present, right?
Yeah,
Being present with somebody. hearing them, experiencing them, seeing them for who they are. I do like doing giving. Like I'm a crafter. I like to like make things. And so I think I'm one of the ones who I kind of like vacillate in between multiple things of that. You know, I like to give things, but I also again like to just like be in somebody's presence and listen to them and show them that again that I'm there. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you, Ariel?
I've only been in love one time, and I have dated many people, but I don't throw that word around. To me, it's something I didn't believe in for a really long time until I understood what I thought love meant. Like I thought it was just something that people just said to get it over with and to say, oh, we're with each other, I love you, blah, 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 blah. But to me, love is like the feeling of, and this is a bit melodramatic of me, but like I would actually take a bullet for anybody that I love. Someone that I genuinely care about and I cannot live without, I would put myself in front of a train for them. And sometimes love isn't reciprocated that way. And to other people, love doesn't mean the same thing. But to me, that means like you and me, we're through thick, thin, and ice. I would do anything. You could sit there and you could hurt me, but I would still love you and I would do whatever I needed to do to make sure that you know that I love you no matter what. You could sit there and I don't know. I don't know. I've never been actively hurt by someone I've loved, but I would just say that like that's someone that unconditionally, like you said, I would do anything for that person, whether it's friends, family, or someone that I love that I'm dating. That's what love is to me. This unconditional of I can't breathe or live without you in my life, so I'll do anything I need to do to make sure that you're happy and that you remain okay and in my life and healthy. So that's what love is to me. And God.
Oh yeah, there's that God guy.
Yeah. Let's do that too. No, yeah.
What about you, my man? I told you we weren't gonna be the only guy here. He thought he was gonna. He thought he was gonna get beat up.
Man,
We're still getting beat up.
yeah, it's cool, man. It's all good. To me, love is a strong word. Like she said, you can't just throw it out there. Like me, I'm not just gonna throw it out there and tell you I love you. It ain't gonna happen. That's just me. Just because I've been through traumatic situations and you've been in love with people and then you find out it's really not love, it's just lust. And I think a lot of people confuse love and lust from two different things. So me personally, I don't know. Like I couldn't even give you an answer right now, to be honest with you. Because I think a lot of people say they're in love with somebody, but they're just saying it because either it's a trend or it's something that they're grown up and used to because they've seen their parents or their grandparents do it, but they're not giving the same action that their grandparents or their mothers or their fathers did. You know what I'm saying? They're just saying it just because it's like, oh yeah, I love you because we're in a relationship.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because a lot of folks look at, well, okay, take for instance, my great grandparents, they were together until they were in their 70s. They were married fairly young and they just stayed together through all the BS, through all the stuff. And a lot of folks feel like traditionally, because a lot of folks were raised, in the church or what have you, like you just stay regardless of what happens. And these days it's a little bit different. So it's really hard to identify like, okay, is that love because they stayed together, regardless of, whether grandpa stepped out on the relationship or however that worked? Is that still love or are they just playing a part or how does that work? It's really, really interesting that you brought that up. But I do want to get you guys to introduce yourselves as well. We just went around the room, so you didn't really miss much.
Awesome.
But your names and where you're from.
I'm Kathleen Dickerson, and I'm from Texas.
Ooh,
right.
okay.
All right.
My name's Jared, and I'm lucky husband.
All right. I'm going to have you pull your mic just a little bit closer to you.
Well, I tried that, and then
Oh, hold the table.
Off the...
There you go. Yeah, you hold the table. You're all good.
All right, there you go.
Boom. You sound good.
Oh, thank
Awesome,
you.
man. We got a little bit of everything in the room. Got some Texas, got some Cali, some New York, Hawaii, Good old Chicago. I'm from Michigan, blah, but whatever. So for you guys, what does love mean to you? Like, do you guys have, seeing that you guys are the only couple here, do you guys have the same love language or is it different?
Oh, completely different. Keeps cutting out.
Oh, you just got to get it closer.
Okay.
That's all. There you go.
Yeah, love to me is a choice. You choose to wake up every day and like continue to love someone. But our love languages couldn't be farther from different. I think your love language is probably touch and affection and words of affirmation, and mine is quality time. So
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That was the fifth
Smart
one we
man.
were missing.
Smart man.
I was waiting for
I
him to be
was
like,
gonna say, I agree. Yep.
No, we are polar opposites. We knew that in the beginning, but we gave it a shot and doing pretty good.
Do you with you guys being polar opposites, do you feel like that causes a void or brings you closer together because there's so much to learn?
It did in the beginning. We had a rough probably 2 years, 3 years. And then now that we understand each other, we show up and make sure that we're touching each other's categories that need to be touched. And I think we took us a while to figure each other out.
Well, we went, the first part of our relationship was lust. A lot of it.
Yeah.
That was the only part of it.
In the beginning, when we started dating, I told her that I worked out of town, and she was like, "Okay, no problem." At the time, I wasn't working out of town, and then I went, and it was kind of shell shock for her, and all of a sudden we had that separation, and we were just dating at the time, so she had that loneliness, and I was used to it, so I was able to handle it, and she wasn't able to do so. So
No, I went crazy.
yeah,
I get that.
Yeah.
How did you guys tell the difference between infatuation and love when you guys were dating?
So I'm divorced. I was married pretty early, and
Samesies.
what I thought was love, and what kept us two together was my daughter. So, and then I worked out of town. She didn't travel with me, and we were very distant. I didn't know how to speak, and I didn't the first half of our relationship. I couldn't. I never did open up or wouldn't talk about my feelings at all because that's not how I was raised. And so it was pretty difficult, and obviously that didn't work out because nothing ever changed. She opened me up more than I can possibly even imagine, and communication has just been our number one go-to.
Yeah.
And still to this day, we talk about everything.
Yeah. And we have like sit downs, like we check in on each other a lot.
And it's not always good.
No. I mean, we fight pretty good too, but
Yeah.
That's good though.
Yeah. So
That's good to have that because some people don't. Some people just be like, all right, and then they let it go. Like you said, the grandparents, they just let it go.
Yeah.
And then you got that burn on your shoulder, like, then something else come and then you get angry. Now you explode on that person for no reason when you could have just talked about it time ago.
And a lot of people, not saying this is me, but a lot of people think that kids will fix the situation when we get into things like that. And so a lot of the time people have kids and then they still get divorced and life becomes more complicated and it's harder to connect even more in that way. So don't have kids, talk out your problems.
yeah.
Well, I do somewhat, and a lot of it is, people let the kids mask the real issues, right? So they let a lot of things go that they shouldn't because of the kids. And I do get it. I mean, my parents are still together, so I didn't grow up in a divorced home. And growing up, I was white picket fence. You get married, you have kids, and you live happily ever after. I just expected that. And then life punched you in the face. But things happen for a reason. I'm not really I don't necessarily believe that, you have one true love. You put in your effort and choose to be with that person. Like if something was to happen with us or something was to happen to me, I know that she could find love again if she wanted to. She's a wonderful person, and I mean, anybody would be happy to be with her. So, well, not anybody, but
My type.
yeah. So, you know, it's you have to want it. Both of you have to, or it's not going to work.
We
Mhm.
call that too like a conscious couple, like people again wanting to evolve together and growing together and understanding each other. And again, like we come in and out of balance, and so we come out of balance is like a period of time of growth,
Mhm.
you know, and then the evolution of like the relationship,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
yeah, and
Yep.
wanting to grow together.
Yep.
And yeah,
It's important.
Yeah.
absolutely.
What about you guys? Can I open the question up to you guys?
Sure.
What do you guys like? How do you guys know the difference between infatuation and love when it comes to you and your relationships?
I can answer a little bit on that. I was gonna ask the question if you guys believed in the one, and really, I mean, for me myself, I used to believe in it, but the older I got, the more I realized is that it's just more of like, oh, that's not the one. That's just someone who fits what I'm looking for,
Mm.
and they fit. You know, that's the personality I want around. That's the heart that I want around. That's the good and bad that I want around. And I've learned a lot of people, like once you get someone that fits pretty close to what you're willing, like, oh, okay, this is me. This is what I like. This is my type of person. Then, you know, maybe a person may, you know, they may look different. They may act a little different on certain things. They may have different qualities about them, but they generally fit like that mold mentally or emotionally where it just clicks.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like in the past couple years, I was seeing someone and I like, oh, I can tell like right off the bat, like you're my person. So much different than the people that I've been with. And I've gotten to identify it so good that when I'm sitting in front of someone else, that I understand like this person may have genuine interest in me, but I know for sure they're not my person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you kind of mentioned earlier when you were talking like, yeah, when you know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's not based off of like intuition really. It's more based off of like gathered information that you get throughout life that you kind of, okay, this, I don't like this, I do like this, I don't like this, I do like this, and then that kind of culminates into a person.
It's literally like the longest interview that you
Yeah.
can ever go through.
Oh man. Yeah.
I think that a lot, I was going to answer a little bit to my own. A lot of the time in previous relationships, a lot of people have told me because it hasn't worked out and that even though like we're not together, like I'll always have love for that person. I know that it was love because no matter like what we've gone through, I've always been like, I trust you with my life. Like if it came down to it, if we're not together, we hadn't talked in years, I would trust you because I have that love for you, that like trust. And so the difference between infatuation is even if the love isn't reciprocated, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's infatuation. But as long as there's that trust there can always be love. Without trust, you can't have love. And it becomes something different is what that is to me though.
Yeah.
Well, I think like the difference between infatuation and love is like the stability part of it.
Mhm.
Like if you're infatuated with someone, you don't care if they're flying off the rails, you're still wanting more. And then when the stability comes in and you're somewhat bored, but you still want to be around that person, I think that is the main difference. I mean, we went through a time where our relationship was boring and there wasn't anything fun about it. And we had to find that again. And
I'm a boring person.
oh my God, yes. But very stable and very honest and loyal. And I definitely pull him out of his boring, and he definitely keeps me humble and not so crazy. So
I think question for you, Aor,
Mhm.
because you're in the corner there and you're quiet and looking.
Yes.
You just. Okay, so you heard their relationship.
Yeah.
Is there any contrast or similarities that
It's
you may heard in
similarities
your?
because me and my husband are definitely two different love languages. Completely two different love languages.
How so?
He's more of like the affectionate time, and I'm more so like the action person.
Mm-hmm.
So
Q's
it's
a
like
softie.
yeah, for sure. So it's like we gotta try to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And we also gotta stop and think like, okay, well, I know that this is what you want, but this is what I want. Like it be a lot of that. And I do believe that love is a choice. I wake up every day and choose my husband because I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say what's up to Q for me.
Oh, yeah.
I miss that guy.
Me too.
Yeah. Oh, that's another similarity. He's on the is he on the road quite often?
Yes. He's mostly always gone.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. I'm going on day 7. No.
Wow.
But that's what the girls are for, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the girls are for. And then we got 2 kids, so that I occupy them. The time kind of flies, but it don't when you like in it. But then when it's over, I'm like, oh, that was nothing. But
yeah.
when I'm going through it, it's hard.
Yeah, especially having kids when he's gone.
Yes,
That's hard. It's hard.
Very
When you
stressful.
Do
care
you
about-
guys send each other videos, like while he's away and stuff?
Of the
Like-
kids, yeah, we Snapchat all day. We video
Snapchat.
call. Like we send videos and pictures, like all day.
If you don't mind me asking, how long have you guys been married?
We got married in 2021, so
Okay.
Wow.
what's that? 3 years?
How about you guys?
Just had our
7th marriage anniversary.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
I can't
Alright.
wait
Nice.
to say I've been married for a long time. That was something that I grew up though and knew that I wanted. Like I knew that I wanted to have a long marriage. If that makes sense.
Yes. No, I was the same way. My
Yeah.
parents divorced when I was 6, and I was determined to make my first husband my last.
Yeah,
So
something that your background kind of mold you to into the
Mhm.
person.
We talked a little bit earlier about like whose grandparents were we talking about? Was it
Mine,
your
yeah.
grandparents?
Mhm.
My grandparents actually were neighbors since they were 3, and my grandpa's mom passed away, and so my grandma actually would teach him how to shower and do a bunch of other stuff. And my grandma ran away at the wedding. She ran away, and he went and got her and brought her back, and then they got married. And she was like, "You're right, I'm being dramatic." And they got married. And they
Same
fight
girl.
all the time. They fight all the time over silly stuff. Like I think my grandpa has heart problems. And so she'll be like, "I bought that bag of chips for the kids. You're gonna give yourself a heart attack." And like she's kind of a grouch, but it's like all out of like she loves that man so much.
Is
and
that
she
who
knows
called?
him. Yeah,
She's lit.
yeah,
She's lit. I like her.
yeah. And so I hope to find like a love like that one day where it's like you drive me so crazy and you make me so annoyed, but like if I were to act irrational, you'd know exactly like what irrational is too irrational and what is like normal. And so I'd love to get to know someone to that extent one day. So
Yeah, what old people can say to each other, insane. 'Cause you cannot say that to your wife right now.
They built that
like
relationship.
right now, like you could not say that. Like
They
my,
built that clout.
yeah, my grandpa, he just like hate that bitch. I'm like, damn, grandpa. Like,
They grew up in a whole different
Like,
era
yeah.
though,
Yeah.
too, of
And
where
that's
women
a-
didn't have the
and-
right to leave and they didn't work and
oh no, my
Something
grandma.
about grumpy old people are
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah,
my,
grumpy
my
old
grandma
people.
will dip. She don't care. Like that, they're hood. They don't care. She
So-
will dip. If it's her time to go, she'll leave. But she loves him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they have that strong bond of a relationship. But like when I'm sitting in the car with my grandpa, he just like, I can't stand her. She always on
But ain't gonna go nowhere.
nowhere. He always, I'm
grand-
leaving this time. You ain't going nowhere. You gotta go watch the game.
Big dog. Chill.
Right.
that's the opposite for my grandparents. My granny will cuss my papa up and down, and my papa's like, "Yes, ma'am," and he has never said a word to her.
Yeah, my grandparents are more like they still married. My grandma got a boyfriend. My granddaddy but he still pay her bills. He still take care of like.
Oh, it's lit.
Yeah, I be
Yeah.
like,
They
that's
don't
good,
let-
girl.
They owe what?
nah,
I
my
owe.
grandma
No,
my
it's
grandma only worked like 3 jobs her whole life. Once my grandpa got a serious job, he was like, "I want you to be home, live your best life. You took care of me growing up. It's time for me to take care of you." But whenever they're older now, right? So whenever she'll be like, "Oh, I want to go shopping," he'll be like, "With whose pension?" He throws that around a lot, and she'd be like, "I hate you. Don't talk to me." She'll like leave and stuff. But I think old people are great.
Must be nice to have good grandparents.
Oh yeah.
So I got a
Yeah.
grandpa. That's it. I don't got no more grandma. I got a step grandma, but he always talking about her wig or eyebrows. Like he don't
like
care.
that.
Like he just be
Don't like
going
that.
in,
He don't
bro.
care.
He don't care.
So question for the panel. How important is love in a relationship?
Number
The
one, right?
the passionate bond and love in a relationship, or like how much of that is the relationship?
I think it starts with like love for ourselves, right? Like how much love can we give ourselves to then actually love somebody else, right? And again, like from a therapist perspective, like can you truly love somebody else if you don't love yourself? Like you can do some of it, but not necessarily show up for all of it. And so again, from that perspective, like really again wanting to love ourselves, it opens our heart. It allows us to access different parts and pieces of us. And we're able to show up differently. We're able to deal with some of the bullshit. We're able to deal with someone else's trauma. We're able to hold space differently for people if we know ourselves and love ourselves and can show up for ourselves. And it truly is, again, like about the relationship with ourselves. It changes everything, you know.
Did you have a journey of your own where you had to learn that?
Oh, absolutely.
What was that like?
It was fucking hard, right? You know, and so like, so, you know, this stuff too that no one can teach you. And so part of my story, again, like I'm a licensed therapist, been doing this 20 years, was married, and my best friend and business partner, had an affair with my husband. I had 2 young children. I owned a hospital, you know, with her, and I wasn't going to go work for somebody else. And so really, again, like my story was, how do I learn how to co-parent? And not affect my children, because I grew up in a very dysfunctional family with like separated parents, divorced parents, right? How do I not bring them into that? Because it's not theirs, right? How do I learn to, again, have this different relationship with their father? And how do I, you know, become a single mother, right? Like I don't take child support. We do 50-50. He's a good father. And so again, how do I relearn all of these things? And how do I show up for myself and understand that this also wasn't me or like my shit? And how do I love myself in all of this space? And so, yeah, like, holy shit, right? Ripping the Band-Aids off of like all of the things and enduring and, right. It's like the dark night of the soul. We call it in a lot of ways of, like, this is all my shadow. And like, how do I love all of it? Absolutely. How do I expand through it? You know? Yeah.
Have any of you guys been on a self-love journey?
Oh, 100%.
I
Literally.
think
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I actually, the last couple of years, the past 3 years, I've been on a really big self-love journey. I used to like be in like a really hard place because I couldn't stay in relationships for longer than like 3 weeks, a month. Like I used to think there was like a really big problem with me. Like I'm doing something wrong. I'm too much. I'm too little. I talk too much. I laugh too much. I poke fun too much. And it wasn't until I realized that like that's just who I am, and I need to accept that's who I am, and I need to find someone who likes that part of me, that I truly was like, okay, now I can start dating. I took, I think, a 2-year, 3-year, not, I want to say, I said 2, 3 years. It was like a 1.5 year break. I wasn't talking to anyone, and it wasn't because I wasn't looking, but because I genuinely was not in the right headspace to be going up to people and being like, hey, I think we should talk, because when they're like, oh, tell me about yourself. What are you supposed to say? Hey, I don't like myself very much. Like, hey, I don't like where I'm at right now. Hey, I owe a lot of bills. Hey, like you don't say that kind of stuff, right? And so it's something that stays private and quiet because it's really hard to talk about with new people. And until you can accept that's part of who you are, or find stability in yourself and love for yourself, and which I'm finally at a point where I'm so honest, and I'm out of debt. I am right where I need to be in life. I work what I work, and if you can accept that, and if you can't, that's okay. And even if you can't accept that and we're a great match, if we're not meant to be together, that's okay also. I need to accept that when you love someone else, or you're trying to love someone else, if you don't fit into that lifestyle, it's okay. You know, even if they're a great person. And I had to learn to love that I am enough, but sometimes I'm also not enough, and I need to be okay with that. And I finally learned that. So I've actually really been on a big journey myself this year. And it's hard when you're talking to people who don't love themselves the way that you love themselves too. You know, like, because if I love myself and you don't love yourself, I stop loving myself so that I can put more effort into you sometimes. And that's really hard too. So you have to be careful with that.
I resonate with that. Everything that you said. It's like sometimes you don't love yourself, and then you have to realize that that's okay, and you have to put in the work with yourself. Like I went through postpartum depression. Well, I mean, anxiety, I guess. And I did not like what was going on in my head. I didn't feel right. Nothing made sense. And I was miserable to him. I was mean and cruel. And you have to figure out how to find yourself again and be okay with yourself to be able to give other people love. So.
Yeah, you got to be a strong man. And I mean a strong man. When a woman goes through postpartum depression or anxiety, you got to be the strongest man to not say nothing, to not even react. Because the stuff they say to you, you be like, when did this happen? Like, when did you ever feel like this? Like, it's just.
Well, she knows. Like, she knows she's going through that.
Yeah.
And she can't do anything about it, and you can't either.
No, 100%.
So, you're just trying to do the best you can to help out and do the little things.
That's all you really can do.
She doesn't want to be there either, So
some of that stuff hurts you though. You can't lie though. Some of the stuff she might say to you might just be like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no
might
doubt.
catch you off guard. Like, hold on, let me go sit in the car and think about what she just said to me. Like,
and he handled it so great. He was just like, I think you need a nap.
Yeah, that or some food or something like. It's just,
I can really contest to postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I would real hard.
Hurt people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, especially if you're like with someone that you love and they're your partner, you have to know that they're not hurting you on purpose. Even if it feels like it's coming from a place of hurt, you have to know that they're probably going through something and that they love you no matter what. And look at an outside perspective.
We say it to each other all the time that, and I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart that she's my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not just my wife and the mother of my kids. She's my best friend. And it makes it a whole lot easier to go through certain situations when she hears me out no matter what I have to say, and even if something she's not even interested in, she's listening. So
oh my gosh, you go on and on about video games. I don't even want
talk
to.
about Call of Duty.
Listen,
Like, the new Fortnite season sucks.
it's okay. Call me, bro. If that's okay. She don't want to talk to you, just call me. I'll sit on the phone. We'll talk about it all day while we're still playing.
Can we sit on the game?
We can sit on the game.
We'll talk on the game.
On the game.
Great.
Oh yeah, Q's gonna love this.
That actually brings me up to the next question that I wanted to ask. I like the way you spread that out a little bit, but what thing or things helps to make a relationship last?
Has to be communication.
Yeah, number one is communication.
Literally the number one.
And the choice to be there.
Forgiveness.
Yes, that one's a big one.
Yeah.
I think wanting to grow together. I mean, again, I feel like our partners are just bonuses in our life. Like we don't need them. We want them, right? Like we come into this world alone unless we're a twin, and we leave alone. And so like our partnership truly is this like evolutionary process, this growth process, hopefully with our best friend, and that bring out the best qualities in us, and also understand like our not awesome qualities, right? And so it's like this balancing act of seeing each other and growing with each other, in so many different ways.
In my marriage, I think that's one of the biggest things that, like, I don't want to say that is like built on, but we understand that we're young. We're going to evolve. We're going to change. Like, this is going to change. And we like big on that, growing together.
Yeah.
I think one thing people don't realize is that when you're trying to make for a lasting relationship, change, the only thing constant is change.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The way that I look is going to change. The way that I talk is going to change. The things that I like to eat, the things that I like, the places I like to go. I went from wanting to be outside all the time to being a hermit. And I'll probably want to be outside again, and those things are constantly evolving and changing. I guess what's important in a relationship to me is just that understanding and like you mentioned, Melissa, the eagerness to just grow together.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of that again, that's a part of communication. You know, and being able. How do you?
We need vulnerability though for change too, right? Like our set and setting have to be a place of safety or we can't make changes, right? We get very like rigid in our thinking or rigid in our patterns when our relationships feel unsafe. And so then we like hunker down more because of fear, right? And fear of what might happen. And even though, right, change happens every minute, we're changing every second, we're changing. But again, like the vulnerability has to be there, and can we be vulnerable in our space with our partner and be our authentic self and be seen and be supported and loved? You know, not everybody can do that, right?
What usually puts a hold for you guys on being vulnerable?
Pride.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of rejection.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when I put myself out there, I do it a lot because I'm just a very extroverted, like lover girl. I love to just be honest with people I'm with. And it's really hard when you put yourself out there and then they reject your honesty and your vulnerability and they're not open to it immediately. That's really hard because then it makes you not want to be vulnerable again. And you have to choose every time that no matter what the outcome is to be vulnerable. Otherwise, it's never going to work.
Right.
You know?
Sometimes you think it's easier to shut yourself down if you get
Mhm.
constantly.
Like
know,
shut down.
Yeah,
That's
it just makes you want to shut down inside, and it sucks.
But it's work,
That's a
right?
part of the self-love.
Yeah. What if it's
Literally.
all about a mirror about yourself and it's you judging yourself, right? And once we judge ourselves, we go back into fear mode. There's only two emotions, love and fear, and everything falls in between those, right? And so when we're in fear, we shut down and we're just accessing just through a part of our brain, like our automatic default mode.
Especially when you're vulnerable yourself. You can love yourself and still be vulnerable. And when you're honest about your vulnerability and they acknowledge that, it's really hard because you're like, oh, so you see the same things I see. How do we come from here now? Now I know that you see me the way I see me, right? And you have to continue to talk about it and work on it and know, like, for example, sometimes I feel like I fluctuate in weight sometimes. Sometimes I put on 10 pounds. Sometimes I lose 25 pounds. Sometimes I gain 5, I lose 5. And so sometimes I look really good in my clothes and sometimes I look a little bloated. And so it just depends on the week or the month. But when I'm like feeling not that great, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't really look that cute today. I'll do my makeup, I'll do my hair, make myself feel good. But when my partner comes around and is like, why are you doing that? Why are you getting all ready like that? Why would you put makeup on? Like, you're like, I'm trying to feel good about myself and you're not helping. So being vulnerable, it's not just about you putting yourself out there, but understanding when your partner puts themselves out there too and working with them on that.
And it's also your interpretation of what's being fed to you,
Yes,
right?
yes, right.
And then how you're interpreting it based on your patterns of trauma, right? And so that's ultimately what it is. Like, is we all have trauma because we've all grown up in trauma in different ways. And that's how then we act and react when we're in any kind of state of fear or vulnerability and like it doesn't feel safe. Again, we just go on to like a default mode.
I think people, me personally, with how this generation is set up now, I think people need to stop believing everything they see. Because in this generation now, like, love is a competition. And it might sound crazy to say it like that, but it's just like everybody wants to beat everybody.
Oh, in our culture for sure.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
you know what I'm saying? I'm a 90s baby. So me, I love the old school Martin and Gina, you know what I'm saying? Dwayne, all them, like, but the way the generation is set up now, like, it's like the man better have 500 or he better have this or he better have that or he ain't getting me or he not worth my time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird how it's set up now. And I think it's because of social media that everybody's trying to follow. It's literally like everybody's just trying to follow the next trend. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I don't know. Like, I think people need to get out their heads that everybody loves everybody differently. You know what I'm saying? You can't love somebody the way somebody else is loving. You can't have what somebody else is having. Like, you can, but you have to work for it. But I think now, not saying you women at all, but now women feel like they don't need to work for anything. The man's got it. And
But
it's
you say
kinda-
that's
and I-
now, but back in the day, women couldn't work at all. So
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's true. And and that's my thing. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm glad that women can go out and do anything that a man can do. 100%. They can't. We can't say they can't because they proved us wrong. 100%. They can lift weights. They can do everything.
Oh, yeah, we
Everything
can
a
do
man can do,
everything
a
y'all
woman
can
can do.
I think it's important that men are honest when they want that in a relationship too.
Mhm.
Like when you are in a relationship, you need to be honest and say, hey, how is this going to work? I like a 50-50 relationship. I like 100-100. I
Mhm.
like, you need to be honest and communicate about that. And I think you bring up a really good point about social media. I think that social media, personally, from couples I see nowadays, social media pins partners against each other. Who's the prettier one? Who's the better one? Who's the nicer one? And that doesn't help a relationship when someone is being pinned against, when you're being pinned against each other. I know growing up myself, sometimes my family would look at other couples, like my mom and my dad who are divorced now, but were having problems at the time. They would look at other couples and be like, oh, I don't know why she's with him. He is so much nicer and he's so understanding and she's so mean. And it's like, you don't understand other people and you need to be careful on how you judge other people's relationships and be aware that other people are judging yours and to not let it hit your relationship like that.
But it
You
goes
guys-
back to like, why do we need to judge other people's relationships? We're not even in,
Exactly.
right?
It's because
Like,
of jealousy.
But
Misery
I
loves
get
company.
it. And also it's from trauma, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm going to keep going back to that like we have no business being in other people's relationships but our
Mhm.
own. And anything else is just like, again, like the way that we're feeling about ourselves and our own
Reflecting on it.
relationships is right. Our own reflection of what the discomfort that we're having inside of our own selves.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like with all of
question?
our couples friends, we always root for them. Like we're like, I hope they're doing well. Like I wonder if, they're as happy as they seem and
Mhm.
things like that. So
Do you ever
Same.
look at some of your friends and just think, oh wow, like this person is like better? Like, because I know that's kind of toxic of me, but I do that with my friends. I'd be like, you are so much better than them, and I think that that's unfair. Like, I put myself back in perspective, call myself out on that.
Like judge your partner.
Yeah, I judge their partner a lot. Like, I don't know what their
Oh, she
relationship
does deserve
is.
better, but she has me.
I was going to bring up my Mormon cousin. Like she picks the most toxic men who are horrible to her. And yes, I judge her terribly because her choice is horrible. I hope she doesn't watch this.
I was thinking that when she was talking, like, look,
We're 40, we're 45 minutes
You
in.
deserve better. But it's hard not to judge because she is a beautiful, caring, perfect woman and she's choosing these men who just aren't of her status.
But they
And
validate her invalid feelings that she has. for
yeah, she
herself
grew up with a lot of
ultimately,
trauma.
right?
And so
Yeah.
it's
Repeat that for me, Melissa.
It's so we seek things that validate our invalid feelings that we have about ourselves. So the way that we see the world, like through the glasses, right? Like through our trauma lens, like we seek things that validate those feelings, those behaviors, those thoughts. And so when we're tuned into our trauma, depression or anxiety, they're just states of consciousness, states of awareness. But when we're like, when we're feeling anxious, it's like if I tell you to notice all the blue cars, you're only going to notice the blue cars, right? And so you're just tuned into that level, that like radio station, that frequency, and that's all you're then receiving. That's the only input that you're getting in. And so she's at a vibrational level that's what she's attracting because that's how she feels. And that's what she thinks she's good enough for, which obviously, again, you see her. Like you truly see her and what she's worth. And so she has to do the inner work, and all you can do is send her love, right? Like you have two choices. You can send her love or you can send her fear. And what do you want to access her with, right?
And I used to send her fear and now it's okay. Like,
Right.
hey, if you love him, we love him. But
Absolutely.
still
Right.
sucks.
Yeah. Right.
What were you trying to ask earlier?
I was going to ask you. So you mentioned you sir. You mentioned you've been married before, right?
Mhm.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, what was the gap in between meeting Kay and being divorced
Getting remarried or meeting her?
or getting remarried? Put it that way.
So
Thank you, AR.
to be honest, I'm not really sure the exact time.
It was a
I don't want
year.
to get you in trouble.
Right.
No.
She like, I know. Don't worry about it.
No, it was more than it was like 2 years.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
think
We dated for a year. And then I had a relationship.
Oh no, since
before.
we met like a year after y'all divorced. And then we got married like 2 years
Yeah.
after that. So it was
Okay,
like
so
3
it'd
years.
been some time.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were you right around that time?
You can ask anything.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
open.
Yeah. How old were you around that time when you got divorced?
Wish I knew these answers. 24.
Okay, we're right on the same. Okay, because I got married at 21, and we divorced we separated like months into it. I come from a very traditional background where you date to be married. So me having a girlfriend was a naughty no, don't do that. A living girlfriend. So was one of Jehovah's Witnesses until I moved out of the house. And I moved out exactly on my 18th birthday, right? Moved to Arizona to be with my daughter's mom. We were off and on for 3 years. Then when we were when I turned 20, I went back to Michigan to visit my family. My dad goes, "Hey, you moved all the way out there for this girl. You should probably do the right thing and marry her." And I asked her to marry me the next day. So then after that, we got married and realized we had made a big, huge mistake. She got pregnant right after we got married. And she said, "You know what? We should probably split this up before this baby gets here." And I said, I don't really like it that much. So good idea. And I mean, of course, we split everything up. I got her own apartment and the whole bit, and we made it work. And we've co-parented great. We've only had maybe 1 or 2 arguments in 12 years, which is good. Knock on wood.
Yes,
That's
wonderful.
That's little sis, but it
Lil
just
sis is crazy.
yeah, but that's how it is, bro.
No,
It-
I understand. I
No, for
understand,
real.
but I didn't expect that one to come
yeah,
out. Though.
she's like my sister, like we got this kid together, but I mean, outside of that, she's just literally, I look at her just like the same way I look at one of my sisters, just
Like you
Family
care
member you
about
can't
her,
get rid
and you
of.
love her.
yeah,
but
she's family forever.
She's going to be in your life forever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and so
No, I
But you know
understand.
what?
or
Whoa,
fortunately,
that's child
right?
support check.
Fortunately, right? Yeah.
But I mean, she's good peoples. She's really solid people. She's a great mother. But I was just curious to what that time was, because a lot of people will get into a relationship or a marriage, and because of the things that happened with that person, they become jaded and they don't want to step back into that arena again, because what if this next person does that to me?
Yeah, I had zero ambition to be married again.
He was
What
forced
changed your
into
mind?
it.
I still
see.
never asked her to marry me. Seriously.
Do you
I
ever
bought
throw that
my own
back?
ring.
I didn't ask for this.
No, we went to we were working in Kentucky and went to Lexington on a weekend off, and we were walking around the mall, and we just walked into a ring store, and the first case there is, a bunch of like not just Rolexes, but like customized like aviation Rolexes, and that's not my place. I can't afford this place, right? So she's like, "Well, I'm just looking." I was like, "Okay." So she's like looking around, and the lady's like, "Oh, if you don't find anything you like, we can go in the back and we can go through the catalog and you can build your own." And she's like, "Yeah, I might as well." And by the time we're all said and done, I'm handing the lady a debit card, and then we come back. I had to separate it in 3 payments because my debit card only allowed so much a day.
You balled
then-
out.
then, like the third day that I went there, she just wore it out the store, and all of a sudden we were engaged, and we called my mom, and she was pissed at me. She's like, "I didn't know anything about this." I'm like, "Mom, I didn't either." So I think she's still mad at me about it, but I didn't want to get hurt again.
Mhm.
She had an affair, so, and that's always been my.
She, the ex-wife, not me.
We're still talking.
Okay.
He's like,
Yeah, so that's always been a fear of mine,
mm-hmm.
and it happened, and I'm like, well, if I just date, then I can just leave without any consequences if something was to happen. So
Trauma.
I didn't want to deal with it again, 'cause I'm pretty firm on the loyalty part. So I didn't want to take that chance again. So I didn't talk about it. We didn't discuss it. We didn't I was very closed off, but she stuck with me and pried me open. So
That's what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering if have any of you guys also dealt with that situation of going through a relationship and then coming out of it a little jaded and it makes you put the pause on, you know.
Yeah,
I have.
100%. Especially with the my bad. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Especially like with the first mother of my child. Like we was together when we got in college, and I thought this was. I'm thinking like in your head, you're like, okay, we both in college. We doing this. We doing this. This the one, and then we have a kid. So now in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the one. So then postpartum come. You know what I'm saying? And you hear everything, you see everything, and you're thinking like, okay, well, she's just saying this because she's hurt. You know what I'm saying? I understand. Like, there's a lot going on. Like, we had a premature baby, so it's like everything's everything right now. Everything's going on in her head. She don't know what to do. I'm just gonna be here. And then it comes to find out, like, half of the stuff she said was true. So it's like, it took me probably 3 years to get back with somebody. Because after I got done with her, I became a dog. Not even gonna lie to you, like it wasn't even like with like having sexual intercourse. It was just me like talking to multiple women. Like I was in my phone every day, like texting 15 to 16 women. What's up, beautiful? How are you? And getting those, hey, what's up, babe? Like, and none of them ever knew. But it was just
hurt people.
Yeah, like like with my trauma, like I was adopted. And I was adopted 7 times, and I was adopted by family. So not having your family want you, like that part, and it still gets it, you know what I'm saying? It still gets to me. Like, it's like, my family don't love me. Why would you even love me? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like she said, that journey, and you said the journey is self-love, knowing like now, like I can take rejection. You tell me no, I'll be like, okay, on to the next. Like, there's no point for me to sit here and waste my time because time can't be wasted. So I just had that mindset of just like now, like just being honest. Like, it is what it is. Like, if this is what you want, okay, cool. Like, let's do this. You want to grow? Let's grow. Like me, you know what my mindset is. I tell you, I text you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want a meal this year, 100%. And that's what I'm going for. And I guarantee I get it. But if you don't want to push and strive to get that either, what's the point of you even being around? So it's just finding that person that knows like it's going to be a rough journey, and they'll be there to stick around because you stuck around for them. And I don't know, man, like you said, I ain't gonna lie, man, love is a drug to me, 100%. It's an addiction. You always want somebody to love you. You always want to find love. You want, you know what I'm saying? You want your mom to love you. You want your dad to love you. You want your parent. Like, it's always something that you want. It's an addiction that you want to just keep getting at.
Is it love or validation?
To me, it's love. Love is a drug to me. Love is an addiction. And I think it's because of my past and because of my trauma. I want somebody to love me. You know what I'm saying? And I think because of me going through those adoptions and it being family, like actual family, it messes with your head. You know what I'm saying? Especially like finding out my dad is not my real dad and I got a whole nother man's name. So it's just like finding, like you said, the validation and finding the person to love you is hard. You know what I'm saying? Because people could tell you they love you all day and be texting the next person the next morning. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying? Somebody could tell you they love you for 10 years. And then the next day they'd be like, yeah, I don't really want to be with you, and been in a whole other relationship or ready to talk to the next guy the next day. So it's just like,
it's rough out in these streets.
Man, it's really rough out in these streets now. Like, you can talk to somebody for a whole year, and then the next day you can be sitting at home crying and they can be in the bed with another dude. Like, it's just like, or same with a man. Like, the way this generation is set up now, like, it's not the same, and I don't think it's going to change until we change it.
Yeah.
I used to write books a lot. I still write books. I'm still working on them. When they're done, you'll know. But I have a couple in the works. My first serious book that I was working on, though, happened during COVID. I had the time. I wasn't working as much, and I was home, and I lived with my ex at the time. We were dating 2 weeks, but we accidentally got scheduled into, like, I was moving into housing from dorms, and we got housed together while we were dating. We didn't know until after we moved in. And so we applied to move places, but COVID hit right then. And so all housing switches and moving was put on pause. No one could do anything. So all of a sudden I went from barely knowing someone to living with someone that I'm dating and meeting their parents, meeting everyone, living together, buying food together, seeing each other 24/7. And to be honest, when I start dating someone, I do not want to be around them 24/7 because I'm independent. I have my own life. I have to work them in, and slowly but surely they will become more and more and more a part of my schedule. And I jumped straight into that, and he would get mad when I would come home from work because he wasn't working because he was out because of COVID. And he'd be like, okay, spend time with me. I'd be like, oh, I got a lot of homework, or I kind of just want to wind down. Okay. He would follow me from room to room and just stand in the same room as me. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, please leave me alone. Please. like I need my space. And then he'd be like, okay. And then go and grab my dirty laundry and start doing my laundry for me. Like we were a married couple, and that really freaked me out. And he'd be like, when do you want to get married? When do you want to have kids? And I'd be like, I don't even want you in my room. And it's kind of hard because I think that's the only person I've ever been with that I was kind of rude with when I was with them. But it was mostly because I was in a situation I wasn't familiar with. And when we broke up, we were still living together because of COVID. And I told him, I was like, hey, I don't think this is working. I need my space. Just give me some time. I don't know if I want to be broken up with forever, but at least until COVID is done, when we can date normally. And he didn't like that very much. And he started dating someone 2 days after. And during COVID, bringing them over to the house, I had a dog who was only like, I want to say like 8 weeks old at the time. And she brought over her big dog and would chase my little dog around, and I would get terrified. And then I'd be like, please don't bring anyone over. Like, I don't want anyone over. He'd be like, oh, you're jealous, huh? You're jealous. You're jealous. And then I'd be like, okay, I don't want to hang out with you. So he went and bought my dream car. And then he was like, I have a new car now. You have to ride with me. It's your favorite car. And I was like, no, I don't. I'm not going to. And then he would be like, well, can we at least still watch our shows together? Sure. One time I was watching an old episode while I waited for him to come home from like geocaching or something. And he came in the door and he thought I watched the new episode, and he turned and punched a hole in the wall because he was so upset. And I was like, I have no idea who you are, and I'm living with you. And then he'd be like, can we go on a walk and just talk things out? And then he'd be like, let's go down this path. I'd be like, oh no, there's like a bee lady who owns a bunch of bees, and I'm allergic to bees. And I was like, can't walk that way. And he's like, I know, because then at least you'd be dead. I didn't have to see you every day.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
So
Some
you
guy I
sensed
met
the
in
red
college.
flags before.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's like
COVID got to his head
yeah,
for real.
for real. And so
Shit.
I have trauma when it comes to dating people because I really want to take my time to get to know them before I date them because of this. And that was my first serious relationship too. And I can't stress this enough. Like, when people start talking about babies and marriage and kids, I'm like, please get away from me.
Babies
Like,
do not make things easier.
I
They
don't.
They do not.
I
Yeah.
don't even like. For me, I was talking about this before the pod a little bit. For me, you know how there's dating apps and swiping and things like that. I don't even consider that dating. That is just talking stage, right? You go through a talking stage where you're talking to multiple people and you're figuring out who is someone I want to get to know. Just because you go on one date with someone does not mean you owe them a second date or a text or a response. That is you talking to get to know someone. And if you get to know them and you're like, wow, I really like this person, let's go on another date. Just because you're going on another date with this person does not mean you're already in a relationship, does not mean you're committed to this person. It means you're just trying to figure out if this is somebody I potentially want to date. Then you go into, if you're like, we've been on 3 dates, 4 dates. Hey, I kind of like you. Like, this is kind of a vibe. Can we go on more dates? I want to get to know you further. Let's talk about what kind of things do you like? What kind of situation are you in? That's when things get deeper. Then you're dating and you shouldn't be talking to anyone else, even if you're not boyfriend and girlfriend. You should be figuring out, is this the person I want to be with? You shouldn't be cutting people off when you're like, oh, we should be boyfriend, girlfriend. At that point, you should have already cut off other people. And then you're boyfriend, girlfriend. And then you're engaged, and I think you should be engaged for at least a year, 2 years before you get married, because then you like are maybe living together before, but living together, getting to know each other. Like marriage is like a final thing for me. It's the last step in all the steps, and you should be so serious about that. Kids comes after marriage, right? I mean, that's just for me, right? Like whatever your speed is,
You
right?
should be able to get divorced before you even get married, because then most people probably would never get married.
Right.
Like getting married is
That's
like signing the paper and like that's it. But
That's
like the
what
divorce is like
engagement
holy
phase
shit,
is, right?
You know?
That's what the engagement phase should be. What is married life like for us? Are we going to be a good couple before we say yes and put it on paper? Like, and that's just me. And
But also
so,
too, like marriage is so much more beyond some piece of paper. And again, like I was swept up in like 29. I had cancer. I just was diagnosed with cancer. Like, you know, oh my God, I'm almost going to be 30 and not married and don't have kids yet. And what does that mean? And again, just traditional like social norms, right?
You feel like your biological clocks.
Right.
Know.
That's what we're told,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what we're told. And so truly, again, like I've been with my partner now like 7 years, and him and I again have like a total different soul relationship. Like I don't need some piece of paper telling me that he's my husband, right? Like it's just such a deeper construct of truly what that relationship is. And not saying that again, like I mean, I believe in marriage. I personally will never get married again because I don't need that. But at the time at 20, like I needed that because that's what I was told, right, societally that I needed, and that's what made it again feel real. But it's not real, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to walk down the aisle.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
it
put
wasn't
my
that
best
bad.
suit on. Like I don't think people understand. Like that's a whole different. Like I understand what you're saying 100%. Like everybody has like their own opinion.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm walking down the aisle.
Also, it makes a big difference if you've been there before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
understandable. Yeah, I understand. I've
Yeah.
never been
But
there
I
before.
feel
Yeah, you've
like-
never been there before.
When people say stuff like we got the like I understand the soul ties and stuff like that, like this is my person, like I don't really need a piece of paper. I think that take away from the people that actually did the paper though. Like, no, it's not the same. I mean, you can love them the same, but it isn't the same, right?
Or is it
I don't
about
know because
personal-
I've been married.
Oh, is that
I have been married,
perspective?
It's
and
about
you know,
personal satisfaction.
yeah. I mean, again, because I'm very more spiritual and ceremonial, and so like for me, like what is the true ceremony of being together versus just some piece of paper saying that again, you know. And
But-
again, I think it's like a deeper construct for me, just of how I view society and how it is.
That doesn't make
Yeah.
you. That doesn't make you wrong. You know. That
Yeah,
just-
no, make it wrong at
yeah.
all. I was
Yeah,
just-
yeah.
Everybody's
There's no
got
right or
theirs.
wrong.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Did you guys
Yeah.
still have something to how do you say?
So I wear a
To,
ring,
like,
you know,
unionize you
like
guys.
yeah. So his family, you know, is like was Irish, and like so in the 1800s came across on a boat, right? And there was like a trunk underneath this boat, and you know, and so you have to put something special in it, and so it was like a great grandfather ring. And so it's been passed down. And so again, like it's marriage, right? Like it's a ring, it's an exchange, but like it's not like I'm going to the courthouse.
So you just didn't do it traditionally, is all.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
You
that
know,
makes sense.
but like a union, right? Of like we're growing together and unified in a different way.
Well, I guess it just
you know.
matters what I'm trying to say is it depends on if you want. What am I trying to say? If you like want society to. Okay,
Yeah,
so like
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're married
No,
on
you're-
paper, your
yeah.
husband passed away, you get all these things. But if you're married in this type of like, you know, not really written down way, and then like it be all this type of, you know, am I making sense?
Yes,
I got a
you
will.
know, I
It-
So
totally-
yeah,
Yeah.
like, you know, but for sure, absolutely.
And it's back, it's
It
back
is
to
hard.
trauma. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You go through that, and then it's
Yeah.
all of a sudden no longer a priority,
Yeah.
whereas it was before. And you know, when you haven't been married, that's what you seek when you find your partner. But then whenever you go through divorce, it's not necessary. It's no longer.
Number one.
I had a big party to party with like everybody. It wasn't for me, right? Like truly, like, you know, and I ended up, I was told I couldn't get pregnant. I got pregnant 4 months before my wedding. And so like had to even get a different, like, you know, and so again, I wasn't like drinking at my wedding, which is fine. I'm not a drinker, but, you know, like you're working a crowd and you're talking to people. And again, like you're having a meal, you're sharing like this experience, but like,
it's pretty for other people, not you.
absolutely. Like I would have, if in my mind, I would have spent the same money, taken like 5 of like my friends and couples to like Mexico and like partied with them for the week versus like doing traditionally what I was told I had to do.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Which was have a 200 person wedding and me not have time to eat and just walking around talking to people who, you know, whatever.
And
You know?
I felt like
I
I
can agree.
took Kay's, you know, traditional down the aisle away from her because I was married before and we got married in our living room and my mom married us and we spent all of our money going, not all of our money, but what we would spend in a wedding, we took that money instead and went, you know, to another country.
I love the idea of eloping to another country and like getting married somewhere else. Like,
But her first thoughts were, you know,
big wedding.
walk down the aisle, the dress, you know.
Was it your first wedding?
Yes.
Oh, well then that makes sense because
Yeah.
again, from a child, right? Women too, from
Right.
you know, from childhood, we play with dolls and we think about our wedding and what
Right.
that's going to look like.
I think that stems to like,
You
are you
know?
close with your family?
Yeah. I mean, well, I lost my father when I was 19. So that was like one reason. I was like, well, I don't have anyone to walk me down the aisle. And that was, like, it's ruined kind of thing. But looking back now, I'm glad we did it the way we did because we had an amazing honeymoon. And then back to the paper thing, I wanted the marriage paper so bad. But now looking back, like it is just a piece of paper. And because our son went through a lot of medical stuff and I was toying with the idea of like, if we get divorced, I can pay for, you know, we'll figure out how to, you know, mess up the system. They're not going to come for me on this podcast. But like, it was just a piece of paper at that point. Like it doesn't matter, you know? And so but it mattered so much before I got it.
Can we talk about how we change our last names, that we have names like, and we grow up with them. And then someday we're like, oh, we don't need them anymore. We're going to take on this name. Like I tell my boys, I have 2 boys. I'm like, you know, like, isn't that weird? And they're like, well, yeah, why would you do that? I'm like, well, I wouldn't now, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, it is.
Change mine.
It's but it's a societal thing too. And not to say that it's not a bad thing, but like as an established person, like in regards to like my like I went to college and like I have papers and they were all in my maiden name, and then switching my name, it takes away too of the things that I worked for.
Especially
again,
as
you know.
a professional.
Yeah,
Like, that's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
My
I
parents
asked him to
changed
take my last
growing
name.
up,
He
so.
said no.
I will say I'm so excited to change my last name when I get married. I cannot wait because even though I really like my name, to me that's like me showing that person that I am ready to commit to them and be a part of them and to be a family. And changing your last name, like my kids are going to have that last name. I want to be a part of that family, and I am who I am. I'll never not be a Reeves, you know, but I will always be a part of that family. So I love the idea of that.
I just added mine to the back of mine. I didn't
I love
remove
that.
mine. I'm still
So
And
you
then-
like hyphenated.
Yes,
yours. I love
hyphenated.
that.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean. That's what
I
I,
love
would
that.
want my partner to do too. Like, I want you to still have your last name, but you gonna have mine too. But you can have.
I like that. The
You know what I'm saying?
honoring of
Like,
both for
yeah,
sure.
I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah.
All different opinions and
I'm
nobody's
definitely-
wrong.
I'm just
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm definitely walking down the aisle. I got my song ready. Like, I don't think you understand. Like,
So
my
seeing
whole-
how
my
I did
whole
walk down the
thing is
aisle.
different.
I did walk down the aisle. We
Mhm.
went to the courthouse in 2021, and then we had our wedding to 2022.
Mhm.
I regret the wedding. Like that money I could have went because we didn't have a big honeymoon. I could have did the big honeymoon, and the party was really for other people. It wasn't for me. I was already married. Like it didn't make sense. But
You do it because you think you're supposed to.
Did
Yeah.
you pay for a walking down wedding like church ceremony and a reception, or just a reception?
so I paid for I paid for it came together. So it was in one establishment, and
Mhm.
it was the wedding. I had my pastor walk me down. I mean my dad walked me down. My pastor ordained us, and And then the party right out in the inside, and I had it in June, so it was outside in the gazebo. So it was real nice, and like everything came together so sweet. But at the end of the day, it kind of was like I spent $10,000 for somebody else to have a party. I mean,
Right.
to have fun, and I didn't. Yeah.
Right. But then my perspective is like you probably have gorgeous pictures in your wedding
I
dress
do.
with all your family members.
got
I
a
don't
whole
have
book.
that. So like that's where the regret sets in is the pictures and the memories. And
Yeah.
Do you
things
wish
like that.
It's never too late, buddy.
He still hasn't asked me to marry him.
I'm looking at his face expression. I'm like, it's never too late. You know, people
We
get
ain't
married
playing Call of
twice.
Duty together.
Right.
He
Because
said,
my
he said
idea
I
was-
should have made you the only male on this podcast.
But because of my trauma, like background, nobody was married around me, and the people that I do know married were either divorced or like my grandparents, not really with each other and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So my whole thing was we would get married at the courthouse, and then within like 5 or 10 years have a big wedding. It didn't turn out that way, but that was like in my mind better than throwing out this big old wedding and then we get divorced in 60 days.
Listen,
Do
I'm gonna tell
you-
y'all.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
gonna tell y'all what to do. Listen, okay. I don't know if y'all go to church or not.
And do.
Okay. So this is how you do it. This is how I'm gonna do it. You gotta be in the choir. You gotta be in good with the church. Feel me? So when you ready, and your pastor know you ready, just pick a day he off. He ain't got nothing to do.
Get married.
You
at
got
church.
the church. You get married at your own church.
Mhm.
Now, when it comes to the reception, I got a big family. All my aunties, aunts, they can all cook. Aunties and aunts.
It's a family affair.
Same thing.
It's a family affair. That means whatever you cook for Thanksgiving, Christmas, put it all on the table. Okay, everybody gonna eat.
Potluck wedding.
I'm not
Yeah.
listen. I'm not getting bring your own bottle. Okay, like I want to walk down the aisle 100%. Like that's gonna be my thing. But I guarantee you, I'll probably spend because we using them link cards. I don't know. Like listen, you got to. My whole family, they got them. They out there. So somebody gonna use something. But I guarantee you, I'll spend like $500 for the whole wedding. Guaranteed. Because you don't have to have a expensive wedding to get married. Yeah, the
You
dress,
gotta make
the
sure you, yeah, that's what I
the
was gonna
dress,
say,
the suit, all that. Yeah, cool. That's fine.
Ask
I
your
got
wife,
five. I
'cause
got
she's gonna want some.
I got
flower
five
arrangements.
suits. Listen. Oh, I
Flower
design too. I will design the cards, everything. You don't got to worry about nothing. Hobby Lobby has everything you need. I don't think people are understanding.
Wedding
on a
craft
budget.
night. I love it.
Everybody is not understanding. You can send out your engagement cards. I got a computer, a printer. Don't even worry about it, baby. We're going to get the cards ready. They're going to get printed.
Yeah.
We'll go to Hobby Lobby. Whatever you need, we going to do it. And I guarantee you, the wedding will be perfect, 100%. Suit, I got 5 suits. I listen to Steve Harvey. I did it.
He got a blue.
I love the idea of a potluck
I
wedding.
did it.
I love the
Smart
idea of a
man to
potluck
listen to.
wedding.
I did it. I listened to Steve Harvey and I got 5 suits in the colors that he told me to get them in. And it literally, you can put a suit with literally anything.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm ready, I'm ready.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I had a bootleg wedding, so
That's okay.
yeah.
I
had
want
a-
to.
We pulled up to the park, laid out a bunch of chairs. Family came by. Park ranger shut us down.
That
Had a
should have been
party
the
in
first
park
time.
afterwards. Oh, I told you it only lasted 3 months. So, we got what we paid for.
I want to. See, I'm from Hawaii, so it's a little bit different. I'd love to just go back to Hawaii and get married on the beach and just chill for my wedding.
Yeah.
Like go surfing, hang out with my husband. You know, that sounds fine with me. Or we could go to Spain and Europe, sure. But I don't know that area. Like that's going to cost me a lot of money to explore, figure out what we want. I'd love to just go get married and then come home and have a reception. I like the idea of a potluck, but specifically my wedding will be having walking taco style. Everyone can get their own food. And I will have my own personal soup bar for me to eat soup. And so everyone else can do what they want to do. I'm going to buy like 30 Malibu giant containers and then everyone can have Malibu Sprites. Okay, but if you don't want a Malibu Sprite, you got to bring your own alcohol because that's what we drink it up in my household, okay? And we're just going to have a blast. I mean, you can have parties on the beach. You can have parties like really anywhere you want. You don't need to pay for a room to go out and hang out with your family. I have a big family too, but a lot of my family, like they're drama starters. I have a Mexican family and they they talk some shit, okay? And you know what? You just got to give them an invitation and they'll show up and be there for you. And they might gossip a little bit, but they'll love you and they'll be like, "Oh, there's no room." That's okay. Like that's okay. Come hang. Like, I don't think that weddings have to be expensive. Like you guys were saying, I think that they can be great as long as you and your partner are on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I'm going to tell people when I'm engaged or married. I think I'm just going to go do it. Like, I'm going to be engaged. I'm not going to make a big thing out of it, because even though I'm really excited to be married, like I said, by the time I'm at that point, it's like, you should already know that person's going to be my husband, right? So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. This was fun.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun.
Love it.
We got a good group here. It's funny because some of you guys have potted with me on other pods before, so it's just kind of funny to like mix and match from different groups and whatnot. You ever have like your friends collide?
Yeah.
I feel like you was
Different
waiting to hear
friend
my
groups.
answers.
Yeah, it's just like
don't
this
mix
friend group
friends.
is.
My friends don't like each other.
No mixed friends.
I've been mixing friends so hard lately. It's been nuts. It's been nuts. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys coming down. We appreciate you guys saying or giving up your time. Thank you very much. We're trying to do this bi-weekly and keep the earlier time slot for. I heard earlier is better for a lot of folks. So, but thank you guys for tuning in to the Love Panel episode 1. If there's anything that you guys would like us to cover for next time, definitely put some questions in the chat. Things in the chat you'd like us to talk about a little bit more. But like I always say, it was a vibe. It was real. This is the panel. They call me Swill, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
See you.